Maxine, and I'm a representative from Verba. We have a software for university bookstores to basically tackle the affordability of a textbook from the entire life cycle of a book. Jeff Wick, your bookstore manager, has been working with Verba for the past 63 days and has been doing amazing. He has devoted so much of his time to taking advantage of these tools, and so I want to show you some of the great things that he has achieved. So with our comparison tool, when students shop through the comparison tool, your bookstore does get affiliate commissions from clicking on Amazon or half. So although they do get turned away from the bookstore still does get paid for that. So in just 63 days, he got at least $1,165 back to the store. There's been 6,700 unique compare visits on that website, and an 85% dollar win rate and a 73% item win rate, which is above average. And so sourcing is another thing that we do through Verba, and that's when you're buying textbooks from the online marketplace at a cheaper price, as opposed to buying from the wholesalers that do have a monopoly over the textbooks. Jeff has sourced 49,000, and if you had sourced those books from wholesalers, it would have been $184,000. So he saved 73% off of the wholesale price by using these tools. And it turns out that your store's biggest competitor is yourself, because they've been doing so great and winning the majority of the sale. So now I'm going to take the time to introduce Collect to you, which is the adoption tool that we'll be hosting a pilot program for.
With the price of textbooks growing at such a fast rate, it's time for all of us to come together to affect affordability. When faculty input their adoptions With the price of textbooks growing at such a fast rate, it's time for all of us to come together to affect affordability. When faculty input their adoptions early, the campus bookstore has a greater opportunity to source textbooks at lower costs. This means more affordable prices for students. That's why we've chosen a new adoption tool for you. Past books are served up to you for re-adoption with a click of a button. Its fluid interface makes the adoption process swift and efficient. Let's do this together for the good of the school and for the good of the students.
So now I'm going to walk through the Collect interface. And we're going to start with the first email that a faculty member will receive from Jeff or from the bookstore. Can you guys see this? Should I zoom a little? There we go. So here, a message from the bookstore. It's fully customizable. Jeff can change it to a message from your friend Jeff. Here it says, "Hello John Smith, we need your help with the textbook adoption process. Please use the link below to access the online textbook adoption system." Here will be a personalized link, which is a mix of your email and a specific hash code. That way we're saving you the hassle of a password and a login and something to remember. You don't need to do that. Just click on the link and it'll take you to the courses that we need you specifically to submit the adoptions for. So your section assignments. You're assigned to submit textbook adoptions for 6 sections from 2 courses. So far, you've submitted a textbook adoption for 5 sections. The following 1 section needs a submission from you, Math 2510. So when you click on the link, it's going to take you directly to Math 2510, and let's go take a look at what it looks like. So for this demo purpose, Math 2510 is turning to Bio 101. And as you can see, it's a very clean interface. What I love about it personally is it's linear. When you log in, you can see where you are and how many steps you have to get to the end. Let's say you start filling it out and then someone comes in for office hours and you forget and you exit out of it. Don't worry, when you log back in, Verba will remember where you were and you're just gonna take off from where you left off. So, sections. Let's select all sections and start adopting for Bio 101. Let's say you don't need a text, you're just gonna mark it as no text required and you're done. Or, sometimes there can be, just because of technical issues, there could be like 2 Bio 101s. You're just gonna say mark as a duplicate, this class is not offered, you already submitted for your Bio 101 class, and it'll be done, and we'll take care of that. But, if you want to decide on what book to use, you can go to the next step. As I said before, Collect is extremely customizable. We have the opportunity to import historical data for every class that has been offered here. So I urge you to speak with your bookstore staff and decide how far back do you want the bookstore to show what books have been offered for every class. So for this demo purpose, we just have the past year's worth of historical data, but we can go back to 10 years if you'd like that. So this will show all of the books that have been adopted for this specific course. If you want, you can just click reuse all past books from this section, and with just the click of a button, you have 4 items in adoption. Let's say you don't want to do that and you want to do some discovery and decide what book you want to use. You're just going to go ahead and remove these and go on to the next step. So not only is Collect an adoption tool, but it's also a discovery tool. And here you can either add books manually. If you know what book you'd like to add, just type in the ISBN and Verba will autofill, I don't know ISBN by heart, but Verba will autofill the rest of the information for you. And if the ISBN is incorrect and the autofill didn't work, it won't let you go to the next step. If you want to search for books, you can search by ISBN, title, or author. So let's go ahead and type in Organic Chem. So automatically, Verba is going to serve up to you whatever book that is titled Organic Chemistry in the Bowker's Books and Prints database. So you can go through and see which book you think was right for you. One of the great parts about Collect is we do show you the cost of the book. So based on the cost of the book, you're going to see the financial ramifications that it'll have on the student in the bookstore. So for example, this one's $86, down here is $278, and through this you can go do your research and decide what book you'd like to adopt. We also let you know that this may be hard to acquire, so this is just tightening the relationship between the faculty and the bookstore. If you do adopt that book, Jeff might have a difficult time finding it. So let's say we're going to adopt the top one, we're going to add it, and go to the next step. And now supplies and course packs. If you have a course pack, you're just going to go ahead and click add, and this space right here is fully customizable. So depending on what the bookstore would like you to do, they can either have a link, tell you to call them with more details on it, or we can fill it out here. If you have supplies that you'd like, you just need to write the description of those supplies, the supplier you'd like them to get it from, and maybe a link to help out. Then you're going to go to the next step. Now, this is another customizable part where it's going to strengthen the communication between the faculty and the bookstore. So here you can write the status of the book. Is it required or is it optional? Is it okay to use a newer edition? Okay to use an older edition? We can even put a question in there, have you made the affordable choice? So that's also fully customizable of what we can see there. Now this is the last step and the most important. The estimated enrollment can be entered in 3 different ways. Either it can be automated and editable, automated and not editable, or just not there, so that's also dependent on you. But what I do want to note, what is the most specific and important part here is add a note. This is where Collect becomes a communication tool. You can type in a note. You can type in a note. I got my adoptions in early. You owe me lunch. and submit the adoption. And now I'm going to show you what it looks like from the manager's perspective when they get this note from you and when they get the adoption. Now, when you go ahead and submit your adoption, it automatically sends an email to anyone associated with that adoption, whether it be a dean, a department head, or a reviewer. So you will get a notification that you've submitted the adoption. Now, the next step is for the bookstore to approve the adoption. So we're going to log in as the bookstore. And this is when the bookstore can click right here. And this is the activity log for everything that has happened on this adoption from beginning to end. When they started out submitting the adoption, when they decided to add a course pack, and when they submitted it. It also includes all of the notes that have taken place. I got my adoptions in early, bookstore owes me lunch. And Jeff can go ahead and reply to that. And more likely than not, he'll go ahead and approve the adoption. He has the opportunity to add a note and let you know that they received the adoption, or do it silently and save you the email, because you know that you have submitted it. So unless there's a problem. So this all has to do with whether you want the communication or not. Now, another thing about this section activity log is, I know this is none of you, but if a faculty member is the one who's going to send the adoption in the night before the first day, the yellow is the term average, and the blue is what's going on fall 2014. He can also compare to see how this department was doing in the previous quarters. And so he's going to notice, you know what, this doesn't look too hot. Bio usually does better than this. What's going on? He'll print this out, send it to the department head, and there's a beginning to the dialogue. And so this is just collect. Basically, faculty can get their adoptions in early with this smooth, linear process. Jeff has more time to go on, source the books, find them at a cheaper price, maybe more communication about whether you do need the newest edition, and that way it'll provide cheaper prices of textbooks for the students. And that's it.